the scene of a catastrophe, but not what it seems. Here, no one has been killed, nobody hurt. This, an international disaster exercise to test personnel and resources. For when major emergencies strike for real, it can be hard for the services of a single country to cope on their own. Local teams can be overwhelmed. In the 1990s, as natural and man-made disasters from earthquakes and floods to marine pollution multiplied around the world, it became clear a more coordinated European response was needed. To deal with emergencies, a planned integrated approach, fast, predictable, reliable. A need also for European cooperation in assessing risks and planning to reduce them. This is how the EU Civil Protection Mechanism was born, pooling skills and resources from EU member states to fight disasters in Europe and worldwide, helping prepare for emergencies in case they happen and responding to them effectively when they do. At the heart of emergency response, the EU provides the platform for real-time information sharing. Any country in the world can request assistance. The information is immediately shared with all EU member states through the EU Civil Protection Mechanism. Through the mechanism, EU member states can pool and coordinate their assistance, here in Europe and on the ground in the disaster zone. The European Commission also asks EU member states to commit a voluntary pool of core response assets. They're on permanent standby, ready for immediate deployment on joint European operations. EU funding helps to shoulder the costs of this availability and ensures high quality conforming to the best international standards. EU member states commit teams of specialized professionals or disaster fighting equipment. When disaster strikes, the Emergency Response Coordination Center in Brussels calls on these resources. It facilitates their deployment, along with any funding or in-kind assistance that's needed. The center's staff monitor the disaster situation. They're the coordinating hub, working around the clock. They streamline transport arrangements to get resources and assistance quickly to where they're needed. EU Civil Protection has responded to more than 200 emergencies since launch. This planned Europe-wide coordination means a consistent, effective emergency response. It avoids duplicating efforts, making the most of funds available, and working with international agencies to get aid to those in need. But alongside emergency response, a longer-term strategy for disaster management is a key priority. The aim is to make a collective European investment before catastrophes happen, preparing for crises, even preventing them, rather than face the human and financial cost of relief and recovery afterwards. To better prepare for disasters, the EU offers training for professionals from across Europe. Cross-border emergency exercises to deepen understanding of working methods and help build effective emergency response teams. Exchange visits to learn from counterparts in other countries, and technical and negotiation training programs to strengthen skills and share best practice. Where needed, there's limited funding available for new response assets and for extra capacity called buffers to cope with exceptional emergencies. For an all-encompassing approach to prevent catastrophes, the member countries agreed to share their disaster risk assessments, refine their planning, and share information on their coping capacities, understanding risks as the starting point for Europe-wide contingency planning. These plans will help improve investments to forestall future disasters. EU Civil Protection, Disaster management that's targeted to meet real needs, wherever disaster strikes. A collective response and preparation, more effective than any one European country acting alone. European cooperation in action.